Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And with storylines being built left, right and centre going into 2022, Crimsix is certainly not shying away from the opportunity to do just that. Roasting his own teammate in Clayster, having a few words to say on his former teammate Dashy, but also talking a bit of trash on the search and destroy scene in North America. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hitting the like button is the best thing you can do to help this channel reach new people. And please do subscribe as well if you have not yet already. First of all, this from Doug sent to Martin. Pretty interesting, really. Why are we playing Bocage? We looked earlier today at some of the insane statistics that some players are putting up on this map. This is the only map in Call of Duty history where I can spawn in, get a 4-piece, and not get a single point on the hill. So I guess this is just how it goes, right? Doug's popping 4 pieces left, right, and center. But yeah, unlucky actually getting any time on the hard point because everyone just spawns up right there and there again. It's just pretty absurd how this map is played. But as we discussed earlier today, is it even possible right now that well, anything is going to come and replace this map? Because as of yet, we haven't really heard about any other maps actually coming through. Envoy seems to have a pretty good time on it, to be honest. I'm sure our SMG players generally doing pretty well. We saw Arcitys earlier today dropping 63 kills on this map, I guess, with the automaton in hand, which is well, pretty impressive, frankly, given well, it's usually an SMG haven, frankly. I mean, look at this map. It's pretty ridiculous. But are any other maps actually going to come through and replace this one, right? Because the rumor has it the USS Texas might be arriving in this game kind of soon, which I mean, obviously that could be a search and destroy map as it was in World War II, but it's not going to be used for any of the respawns, right? So you know, we were thinking by now there might be a London Docks, there might be a Saint-Marie du Mont or something coming back from World War II into this game, because of course the Sledgehammer game as well in a very similar time period, it would make a fair bit of sense. But you know, maybe that's not happening at all. I guess we'll have to wait and see, and it might happen in the middle of the season, as we of course we've seen the last couple of years. But I think if the pros had a choice which hyper map would go, probably Bocage should be out of there relatively quickly indeed. This also, just to mention from Sledgehammer, right, kind of on the topic of updates potentially coming soon, it seems like another update may be arriving here on this next Tuesday. Now, based on this thread, you would imagine a lot of these changes are, of course, going to, well, deal with the general multiplayer experience, as they say. Some people online were saying it's basically multiplayer torture, but, you know, as they say right here, stay tuned for more information about the changes coming in the next update. There has been some rumors that there's spawn tweaks, other things coming that are going to affect competitive. Maybe they'll happen on Tuesday. If they don't happen in this next update, they probably won't happen before the Kickoff Classic. And if they do, they'll happen like one day before, and the pros will have no time to practice on it. That's, you know, what we may well expect here in Call of Duty history. So I guess we shall see. But there has been some rumors, some changes coming soon. Whether they'll affect competitive, I don't know. But Sledgehammer, I guess, hopefully at least, they're back in business here, making some changes for the new year. This also from StuDyy, because we talked about kind of the casting talents that, well, we're going to have once again for the CDL this upcoming season. And he says it's official. So I wonder what they're planning here, right? Because we saw Alicat is, well, a new caster for the CDL going into this new season. I imagine still 3 casting duos is probably what they'll go for. Of course, it was StuDyy and Lando last year. Now, whether StuDyy's been brought back on as a caster to pair up with Alicats, because we imagine Maven and Merc, Mars and Chance, Alicats plus, well, someone. And is that going to be Lando? Is that going to be StuDyy? What's the thought process there? Of course, the league also needs a host. Maybe StuDyy comes back as an analyst. Like, there's a lot of questions being raised right now. So I guess that the CDL are figuring things out behind the scenes, but, you know, it's good to see StuDyy back in business. I think it's a great addition to the desk and really improved drastically over last season as well. Maybe better placed as an analyst, though, I might say. This also from Parasite, just because he talked about Doug. I mean, this guy just honestly can't be stopped. I find it hilarious how, like, Parasite never replied to anything that Doug said here. But a few days ago, obviously, Doug was tweeting him about, you know, they beat us on ice or whatever. Then he tweets that, well, he sent him this message last night. I mean, you know, just the facial expression here is fantastic. Thinking about gunning you today. Some people were saying, like, you know, you could just report him to the police for this if you don't read it in a kind of Call of Duty context. But, you know, I just thought this is honestly pretty hilarious regardless. These two have certainly had a bit of drama and beef between them, to be honest. Be honest and tell you how much you love me, says Doug, said to Martin in the reply. So this comes out last night from the subliners. Wanted to give credit to good content where it does appear from the Call of Duty League teams. And this was another good one, an episode of Bet here with the subliners when Crimsix and the guys were up in New York a few weeks ago. Now, well, Crimsix has a fair few words to say, pretty spicy stuff, frankly. Of course, it is very deliberately teased out of him, but well, a few interesting things. About 3 things to mention here. First of all, he has a few words to say on Dashy, right? Because, of course, Dashy and Crimsix definitely had their drama and their controversy back in the days when they were teaming on OpTic Gaming during the Black Ops 4 time. And, well, they didn't really like each other at the time. And even today, right, seems like they don't get on particularly well. There's always been a bit of controversy between those two when they were teaming on that squad. And Crimsix talked about after the year was over and he joined Dallas Empire that he was eventually babysitting, well, Dashy and TJ really on the OpTic team at the time. They would never turn up on time, all this type of stuff. But, you know, here's a few words to say that, you know, Dashy's pretty much his least hated player. Maybe his least hated player on that kind of former OpTic team, really. Just saying that, like, you know, he's so clueless that you can't really hate the guy. Now, he also, well, talks about Clayster a little bit, right? Because, well, Maloney right here just basically says, people say Clayster's the best of all time. Crimsix has a reaction to that one, definitely pretty passionate about being the #1 player in Call of Duty history, but also talking about Hydra and how he effectively still thinks in French, right? And he's trying to learn actually to think in English and all the other terminologies that he used, one of which being kind of search and destroy speak, and as a result, there's a few words for the green wall as well.
Dashy actually specifically hired me.
I probably hate him the least.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's just an idiot. How can I be mad at someone who doesn't even know what they're doing?
It's like being mad at the baby. That's Johnny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. People say Clayster's the greatest COD player ever.
No one says that.
What's your opinion on that?
No one says that. I literally care about that a lot. And I've never seen, and if I'm not #1, if I see Karma, I get on burners and I start typing. But there's also a third language or another language he needs to learn, which is S&D Kid. It's completely untapped. There isn't, any sort of what's the Rosetta Stone?
Right.
There's no Rosetta Stone on S&D.
Right.
Okay, but they use the same words over and over. It's almost like Ethiopian click talk.
Okay.
But with just a bunch of degens in the North American region.
Bunch of Zoomers.
Dude, it's charged. It's shut the f up. Or, I've lost full. Or, that's not right.
Taco always says
that's not right. Shut the f up and come up with something creative. I don't even know things other than that. Because I don't associate myself with degens, losers, and bums. Okay? And wannabes. Should I keep going?
You can. Go ahead. Camera's rolling for a reason.
Greenwall cult following jerk-offs.
So Crimsix definitely likes to make it very clear that he is the #1 Call of Duty player of all time. I think he kind of feels that after winning the Modern Warfare World Championship, he pretty much settled that debate. And of course, he's still there to add some more championships on top. I think he said at one point that he wants to kind of get to the 40 championship wins that Ogre 2 has in Halo. And still, it's going to be tough to get there, but it's not out of the realms of possibility. And for example, this tweet right in 2020 into the mindset of a Call of Duty GOAT, when the opportunity comes up to say, look, I have the most championships, equal to the most rings of all time, been on all the dynasties, I'm going to make that very clear indeed. He says if people say Karma, I want the birders, just type it right away on the Reddit and stuff like this, because of course Karma does have the most rings, at least in terms of LAN rings that have been won in a LAN environment. Crimsix has 3, but one of them was won online, so people always raise that question, but Crim has way more championship victories in general than Karma does, so I think that's kind of a no-brainer. It was interesting how Karma was considered to be the #1 player, and for quite some time, or at least in the discussion, and when over the course of 12 or so months, the conversation tone has entirely shifted to now between Crimsix and Scump, rather than Karma's kind of at third in the picture, it seems nowadays. The other thing that he had to say was about the Dashy situation, because during the entire season of the Black Ops 4 season, it wasn't the prettiest time for the OpTic team internally, and especially towards the end of the year, that started to become clear. Crimsix talked in quite some depth right about how basically he was saying to the rest of the team, to guys like Dashy, please, I need someone else to put out an ICR because I can't battle against Octane and Slash on my own. And Dashy was basically I'm using a Maddox, right? Just gun the guy basically, but not much he felt he could do in that situation. There was some frustration about that. It seems to have felt, still the rivalry and the drama is there to some degree, but as Crimsix says, look, I can't really hate the guy too much because the guy's absolutely clueless, right? So I guess maybe they'll make up at some point or another. We've seen Crimsix and Scump kind of make up their beef, Crimsix and Formal a little bit as of late, but hasn't really seemed to have happened with Dashy as of yet, right? And Dashy versus Clayster is also a bit of spicy stuff that we got before the start of last season. Maybe something similar will happen here once again. This also to mention, right, because yesterday we discussed the possibility of going back to a CWL type format here for the Call of Duty League. Hastro seems very keen. The other owners apparently are also kind of keen to say, okay, look, let's just allow 4 other teams to go to our events and compete. Of course, this Jacob Walsh brings up a relatively interesting point that I hadn't personally considered, and maybe for good reason, that might make this not the best idea in the world, because of course at the end of the day, if you're paying 25 mil, another organisation, another team can come along and just, win an event theoretically, then, why are you paying the $25 million, right? Which is of course a good question. So as he describes, the old system they're discussing is by far the most entertaining, the CWL style, but it negates the whole point of agreeing to pay all this money to get in the league. What happens when another millionaire funds a star-studded team, qualifies for the bracket, and wins the whole thing? Now, of course, in reality, I don't think this is ever realistically a possibility. Hastro goes on to explain why here in a second, but it is an interesting theory, right? That what if someone comes along, doesn't actually buy into the league, but just pays a load of money to get Simp and a couple of other guys, and then competes through the open bracket to get through the tournament? That would be, it would be an an interesting take for sure. Not sure that's something that would happen. And well, as Jacob Wolf says, also just some kind of interesting points about well, the positives of franchising. It is true that to some degree we've got rid of those kind of denial esports dream team dodgy organizations that are screwed over players, Red Reserve for example. But I mean, still, you know, we've even seen the last year or so, like when Toronto were going through that whole drama with Classic and Brack trying to get home, they wouldn't let them do it. Like there's still some questionable stuff that happens with these organizations, even though franchising has come into effect. But well, Hastro has some interesting replies, right? Not that I would argue in favor of me playing more money, but I would still be happy with the investment knowing I'll get the rights to the GA markets, hold events, share in league revenues when other teams don't. Well, that's kind of the thing. If you're a millionaire and you want to pay an extortionate amount of money to get Simp off the team and to try and build a roster that can win through the open bracket if they go back to this type of format with the franchise league still in effect, then you know, that owner doesn't actually get really any of the benefits of being in the franchise league as Hastro describes. And the other part of it that Fellow kind of just says is like, okay, has there ever actually been a team that's come through the open bracket and won an entire event? And you know, the money would have to be absolutely insane to get some star players to leave their franchise team and join kind of an amateur squad to go through the bracket, even if a millionaire was paying them a lot of money. It'd be an interesting one. And as Hastro says also, that begs the question, why would someone pour millions of dollars into building the product or being featured without being able to share in the potential return to it? If you are going to pay for a star-studded lineup, you might as well just, you know, actually get into the league yourself. So probably this wouldn't be a bad thing. It wouldn't probably have too much of a big impact. But if the owners are on board, I'm all for this, well, being given a go, right, and trying to get back to the CWL type format as much as we possibly can. Wanted to mention this as well real quick. If you guys want to check this out, I'll leave a link down below. Vanguard controller settings and preferences. Feel bad for Chrome putting this together because he goes through like the players' streams and through their like Twitch commands and stuff like this to try and get this information. And some of it is just straight up out of date, right? So you can't really do anything about that. But some of the pros coming in the replies saying, okay, this is wrong or whatever. Now, I guess most players are somewhere between 6.6 and 7.7. Cellium and Accuracy are the only players on 5.5. And Nero's the only player on 8.8 right now. So there's some things you guys can check out if you would like to in this article. And I thought it's kind of funny from football. Such a Lamar said, right, being at the equal lowest in the league, of course, makes a fair bit of sense. But there is that as well. And also, just to finish out the video with this, I thought from Breaking Point was pretty spectacular. All Call of Duty champions pre the franchise era, which of course, well, has only been a couple of years really. But this is, well, from way back in the Black Ops 2 days all the way through to today. And the players that are still remaining in the scene. Not many of them are still around, to be honest. So many of these guys are retired, of course. Crim, Clay, Attach, Slasher, John, Scump, of course, are still around. And then plus the 5 guys who won on the Black Ops 4 season. Clayster, of course, included here again. But I'll see Simp, aBeZy, and Priestahh, the substitute right now for Atlanta FaZe. But yeah, remarkable how things have gone. How many of these players have retired over the last few years and have gone on to either greener or, I guess, browner pastures, depending on where they've gone. And I guess we can hope that our current crop will last long into the future. But very much intrigued your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit in a like button, tell us the YouTube god this is a good video. I'd also like you should see it as well. And help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.